My name is Jerrica, and I am the registered dietitian, one of the many, here at JTA Wellness. And I have the privilege of getting to present to y'all today about all things food pertaining to lunch and snacks. Today we'll be presenting something that is infamously known as the lunch crunch. So basically a crash course on all things lunch and snacking. Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. So let's see. We have to ask ourselves the infamous question, why do we have to pack our lunch? And that's a great question to ask because, hello, it allows us to save money. And of course, with today's climate and just economic changes, it is nice to always have a little bit of savings, not only for the inconvenient things that pop up, but also to allow you to treat yourself. Additionally, packing our lunch gives us more of an opportunity to really be more mindful of our own health goals and even our financial goals, while at the same time providing us an opportunity to be a little bit more mindful of the composition of our meals to ensure that we're getting in nutrient-dense food options into our diet, at the same time as we're diversifying our diet and, of course, creating sustainable, keyword, behavioral changes. Now you're thinking, okay, Jerrica, well, what is this supposed to look like? Once again, great question. So, of course, there are some things we want to consider when making our lunches and our snacks. When we're creating a well-balanced, that's the key thing we're looking to achieve, well-balanced meals and snacks. We're looking for everyone's most loved and yet hated and feared macronutrient of all, carbohydrates. Now, of course, carbohydrates are immensely important because carbohydrates provide the primary source of energy for everything metabolically active in our body. Now, the thing about carbohydrates, right? Let's say I were to just give you a piece of fruit, like an apple or grapes, right? Or I were to just give you a slice of bread. How long is that going to keep you full? At all, right? I know within 5 minutes, exactly, right? Now also too, you brought up a fantastic point. Carbohydrates by themselves, they don't last very long. They digest very quickly in our stomach, which means they're absorbed pretty quickly into our bloodstream, which means, as you mentioned, our blood sugar can spike. Now, granted, we need carbohydrates, right? We've talked about just how important they are. But we don't want them by itself. This is where we want to add in a slower digesting nutrient like protein. Now, protein can come from one of these limited items mentioned. Protein can be found in various types of vegetarian protein sources, vegan protein sources. We can find it in nuts, legumes, beans, and of course, animal proteins as well. Now, the thing about protein, though, is that it takes a little bit longer to digest in the stomach, which means that it's staying in our stomach for a longer period of time, right? And if something is staying in our stomach for a longer period of time, do you think we're going to feel fuller for longer? There we go. So by adding in a protein source with our carbohydrate source, we're able to slow down just how fast that carbohydrate wants to digest, which means we're slowing down just how fast it's absorbed, which means we can have better control over our blood sugar. But I don't want us to stop just there. I also want us to look for a heart-healthy fat. Now, this is a thing about fats. Fats are very easy to incorporate into the diet. Because if we look here, how do we typically cook our protein sources? With what? With oil, which of course is a fantastic source of that heart-healthy fat. Now also, fat not only is included in the cooking process, but some of these protein sources already contain some fat in them as well, which is why it's so easy to get fat into our diet already. Now, the reason fat is so important is because it allows us to absorb what we refer to as fat-soluble vitamins. Does anyone know what the fat-soluble vitamins are? Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? There's 3 more. Okay. Yeah. 2 more. There we go. Yes, ma'am. And there's one last one. Let's go. Round of applause. Yes, ma'am. There's one last one. Do we know what it is? It's kind of close. It has a K sound. It's vitamin K. Yes, ma'am. So vitamin A is absolutely important for your night vision. Vitamin A is what allows us to see a little bit more clearly into the night. Vitamin D, of course, is important for our bone health. And we know that as we reach that menopausal age, we become more at risk for bone softening and, of course, osteoporosis. Vitamin D is really important to maintain that bone health, but at the same time, there's been research to show that it helps with our immunity as well. Of course, vitamin E, that anti-aging vitamin everybody loves, that of course prevents that internal aging, and of course vitamin K, that helps with blood clotting. Now the reason these are called fat-soluble vitamins is because these vitamins need to be buddied up next to a fat molecule in order to enter our bloodstream. Once things enter our bloodstreams, that's where it can go off to our heart, to our liver, to our muscles, to our lungs. So we need fat to help us absorb those vitamins. Now with our fat as well, you'll notice here, a lot of these sources here are fantastic sources of heart-healthy fats. Now our heart-healthy fats are infamously known as the omega-3s and 6s. We know of those terms? Beautiful. The EPA, DHA. Now those heart-healthy fats are especially important not only for our heart health, but also for our brain health. It's been shown that those heart-healthy fats reduce our risk for things such as Alzheimer's, dementia. It can help prevent inflammation in the body, which we know inflammation can unfortunately cause a cascade of negative events, right? So now you're like, okay, Jerrica, enough of the fat, we get it. Duh, it's needed, right? Last but not least, we're looking for some form of a non-starchy vegetable. Now the reason these are classified as non-starchy is because the counterpart starchy vegetables contain a little bit more carbohydrate. So our starchy vegetables such as potatoes, corn, and peas are going to be a great source of what macronutrient? There we go, carbohydrates. Whereas our non-starchy vegetables are predominantly sources of fiber. So what we're looking for is we're looking for carbohydrates because carbohydrates give us what? Amen. We're looking for protein because protein gives us what? Let's think of it this way. There we go, right? So when we think of protein, I want us to think it's giving structure to everything in our body. So it gives us that strength. Protein is what allows for our nails to grow, for our hair to grow, if we have a cut to heal appropriately. Muscle gives us the stamina we need to stand up straight and to have strength while walking, right? We need fat for what? What do we need it for? Yes, a part of it. But fat specifically, remember, it's going to help with our heart, it's going to help with our brain, and it's going to help with what vitamins? There we go. A, D, E, K. Perfect. And then, of course, our non-starchy vegetables not only give us color, but they're also really great sources of what F word? Fiber. Amen. There we go. Now, of course, we can still apply this concept across different diets, such as the Mediterranean diet if we're needing to go on a lower carbohydrate diet because of any pre-existing conditions, or whether we have any preferences, whether it comes to vegetarianism, veganism, or of course, we're including any allergies or intolerances. Now, just to give an example of how this can relate to a vegan-friendly balanced lunch. Foods are different, as we can see, but the principles remain the same. Yes, we want a carbohydrate, but do we want that carbohydrate by itself? There we go. We want to add in a protein with a little bit of fat, and of course our non-starchy vegetables. So far when it comes to composition, any questions, comments, concerns, anything where you were like, Jerrica, you had me, then you lost me, please let me know. We're feeling good with the information? Mm-hmm. All right, beautiful. Now you're like, okay, Jerrica, why? Why the 4 groups? Now, granted, we briefly went into the why behind why we want a carb with a protein and a fat and that fiber. Now I want us to dive into a different perspective. And that, first of all, our carbs, protein, and fat are one of 5 macronutrients. Now, are we familiar with what the term macronutrient means? No? Okay. So macronutrient means that we're needing these nutrients in the largest amounts compared to all the other nutrients out there. So with that being said, some people like to say there are 3 macronutrients, but I like to say there's 5. Now, our 5 macronutrients consist of our lovely carbs, protein, and fat, but they also consist of fiber and water. Now, this is the thing about these 3 macronutrients right here. They're known as energy-yielding macronutrients, which mean they give us energy. Now, this is the thing about energy. Energy is measured in calories. So calories are simply the unit of measurement for how much energy our food gives us, how much energy our body burns, and how much energy our body wants replaced. Just as feet is a unit of measurement for distance, calories are a unit of measurement for energy. Now, the other 2 macronutrients, right, are fiber and our water. Those do not yield energy, which means they're very, very low calorie. With that being said, we predominantly get our calories from carbs, protein, and fat. Any questions there? Feeling good with the information? Perfect. Now at the non-starchy vegetables. Non-starchy vegetables are naturally low in those energy-yielding macronutrients. So things like our cucumbers, bell peppers, onions, snap peas, tomatoes, these are all naturally low in carbs, protein, and fat. So does that mean that they give us a lot of calories? There we go. Now, the thing about our non-starchy vegetables is that they're very high in that non-energy yielding macronutrient, fiber. Now, the reason fiber is so important is that it not only allows us to manage our blood sugar, but it also helps diversify our gut microbiome. Are y'all familiar with what the gut microbiome is? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So fiber acts as a food to keep those little bacterial colonies alive and well. Now, also at the same time, our non-starchy vegetables are fantastic sources of our micronutrients. So the nutrients that we still need, but not in nearly the same amounts as our macronutrients. So things like your vitamin A, vitamin K, we can get some B vitamins, magnesium, selenium, vitamin C. Those are all important to ensure that we're reducing inflammation in our body, but also giving our body the tools it needs to repair and function at a higher level. Now, of course, by having this combination of carbs, protein, fat, and fiber, we're able to diversify the amount of nutrients we're taking in at one time, while at the same time increasing our satiety, so our fullness. We're also going to be able to achieve more consistent energy throughout the day. And of course, we have an overall easier management of energy intake, which essentially means by having this combination of nutrients at one time, we're less likely going to overeat. Now, of course, packing a lunch, I'm not gonna lie, it can be time consuming at times. And this is life. So we should be having fun, obviously, right? Now, with that being said, there are absolutely going to be times where you need something quick and convenient. Now, quick and convenient does not mean you are not healthy. It just means you're time efficient. And so there's different ways that we can achieve really well-balanced meals and snacks with convenient options. So for example, there are times where you're not wanting a traditional size meal, and that is perfectly fine. There are going to be times where you want a meal-size snack or a snack-size meal. In the case that you're wanting a snack-size meal, the perfect combination is the adult Lunchable. Are y'all familiar with like the little Lunchables? Okay, perfect. So now we're just going to make an adult version of that. Now, of course, what makes that even more convenient are things called bento boxes. So they're just little compartments. It's a larger compartment with little compartments in there that you can, of course, use to fill with ready-made options in a way that is well balanced to ensure that you're getting in your carbs, protein, fat, and our favorite F word, fiber. Now, of course, I've also listed some bento box brands. Sometimes you can find them too at stores like Marshall's, Ross, TJ Maxx, stores, online stores such as Amazon. But these are some more of the popular brands for that as well. Now, of course, once again, there are going to be times where you're running out the door, right? Or you're in the need to stop at a store because you just need something to eat so quickly. Once again, there are absolutely options available that still allow you to not only get your macronutrients in, but your micronutrients as well. There's some fantastic frozen meals and even some of the meal simples at H-E-B. Fantastic balance of those energy yielding macronutrients, but that also allow us to get in some of that fiber as well. Now, of course, there are going to be times where you need to pick up some options too, right? And a drive-through sounds beautiful after a long day, especially traveling, right? So with that being said, there are, even at our fast food restaurants that we typically associate with fried foods, there are still options available that allow you to get in your macro and micronutrients. Places such as Chick-fil-A, where you can get the grilled nuggets, you can get a kale salad, you can get a market salad, you can get a grilled chicken burger on a wheat bun. Fantastic sources of macronutrients, but also taste really good. Now, additionally, there's other restaurants that have also hit San Antonio more recently, such as Cava. You're nodding your head. It's delicious. Have y'all had it before? Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Fantastic source of fiber, color, but also a really great way to have more control over the balance of macronutrients. Now, of course, we're not just going to limit ourselves to some of these fast food places. We also have some fast food tips for y'all. As you know, you're traveling, come across different fast food restaurants, or sometimes when you know that you're going to be eating fast food out a little bit more often in the week. So for instance, when we look for protein, we're wanting to look for grilled instead of fried. Now, why do you think that is? What macronutrient is going to be higher in a fried piece of protein versus grilled? There we go, fat. And we know that a little bit of fat goes a long way. Now, of course, if we're going to more of a barbecue place, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I've had fast food like 3 times this week, right? But I'm still going to go. This is a great opportunity for you to choose a leaner source of protein compared to that delicious, greasy, juicy protein that we all want, right? Now, of course, there are going to be times where you absolutely want to indulge in those items, and that is perfectly fine. We're only looking to achieve what we've talked about today 70 to 85% of the time. That's all I want. If we're doing this 100% of the time, we're likely not having fun. So this is just something we want to consider just in between the 70 to 85% of the time. This is not to say that fried food is bad or that juicy steak or meat is bad. Those are absolutely enjoyable. But we're just looking for this 70 to 85% of the time. Doable? We like that range? Okay, perfect. Now, additionally, when we're looking at some of our carbohydrate sources, if we're looking to get in a little bit more fiber, this, of course, is where we can opt for a whole wheat bun. Now, a whole wheat bun is still going to give us what macronutrient? It's going to give us fiber, but a bun in general. Carbs, there we go. So the predominant difference between a regular white bun and, of course, a whole wheat bun, there's still fantastic sources of carbs, but the whole wheat bun is going to have a little bit more what? Our favorite F word. There we go. Fiber. Beautiful. Now, of course, when we're getting on our sides, because I know for me, I'm not just having a sandwich when I go to Chick-fil-A. That's not happening. Of course, we can look for sides that have a little bit more of that naturally occurring color. That naturally occurring color is what kind of pairs us and gives us those vitamins, those minerals, some more of those micronutrients that we need. Well, at the same time, let's take a look. Salads typically give us what macronutrient? Let's think of it. It's our F word. There we go. Fiber, right? Our fruit, fantastic source of carbohydrate, but what does fruit also give us? Fiber, there we go. Our veggies like green beans, coleslaw, and broccoli, what are they giving us? Fiber. There we go. What's the theme here? Fiber. There we go. So once again, we have this really nice combination of protein, carbs, fiber, and then of course, you know, if we go out, they're cooking it with fat. So perfect. Well-balanced meal. Now, of course, too, when we're looking for some drinks, if you're ever wanting to treat yourself and it's rare, just go for the sugar like beverage if you want. If you find, though, that you're getting it a little bit more often or you just don't like that taste, you can always go for 0-calorie beverages or, of course, diet beverages. But, of course, it's up to your taste. It's up to your preference. It's up to what you're feeling in that moment. Now, of course, there are more commonly now, which thank God, some meal prep services that actually can deliver pre-made meals to your door. So you just have to pop it into the microwave or into the oven. Or there are also deliveries or, companies that provide you with all the tools you need to prep a really well-balanced meal as well. Amen. The meals. There we go, because those are good too.
They're good, and they have some have everything.
No, absolutely.
With the vegetables.
Oh, great job. Yes. No, they're delicious. I would use those all the time in college. So I'd be so tired. I didn't want to cook. Exactly. I'm like, I'll watch TV. You cook in the oven, and I'll be back. Sorry, ladies. It is what? What time is it? It is 11:24 and I'm giving you a pop quiz. Sorry. So what do we have here? This is a lovely Caesar salad, right? Now looking at this, what macronutrients are present? Fat, right? There we go, fat and fiber. Where are we getting the fat from? Beautiful. And where are we getting the fiber from? There we go. Now, is this a well-paired meal then? No. Well, right, a little bit, but really, is that going to give you a lot of protein? No, that's a sprinkle. That's a dash. That's not doing anything, right? Now, remember, it's a fantastic source of fiber, but remember, this is a non-starchy vegetable, right? Are non-starchy vegetables high in carbs? No, right? So, do you think this is a good source of carbohydrates then? No. So, what macronutrients are we missing then? We know that we have fat, we have fiber. Yes, ma'am? You're raising your hand, right? Oh, sorry. I thought you were raising your hand. We're missing some protein and we're missing carbs. Beautiful. So this is where, of course, we can now use our knowledge to see something at the store or see something advertised and say, okay, wait a second, this is a great start, but I may need to add in some more macronutrients. So for instance, we can absolutely make this better by, for instance, adding in beans There's your carbs, fiber, protein. We can add in chicken. We can add in cranberries, pineapple. We can add in tomatoes, cucumbers to ensure that we're getting a really well-balanced meal. Any questions there? All right. Now, of course, an example of this is, of course, something convenient, something that you can make in bulk, such as our crunchy apple chicken salad. Of course, our JTA website has fantastic recipes that you can either copy to the T or, of course, use as inspiration, depending on your preferences, and most importantly, depending on your taste. So, of course, right here, this is a fantastic source of not only some fiber, but we get some fat and we also get some protein. Now, of course, we see that we get in a little bit of apples in here. What is the apple going to give us? Fiber, but fruit is also going to give us what? Carbs. There we go. Now, of course, this is where, compared to all this, that apple's only sprinkled in there, right? So you may find that, okay, wait a second, this by itself, not keeping me as full as I want. So this, of course, is where you can pair it with maybe some crackers on the side. You could do Triscuits. Have y'all had Triscuits before? Yeah. Beautiful. Delicious. I know, they're delicious, right? So great source of carbohydrates, but because they're whole grain, what do you think they also have in them?
Fiber.
It's our word of the day, right? Fiber. Beautiful, beautiful. So first of all, as we're transitioning out of lunchtime, do we have any questions, comments, concerns? How are we feeling?
I'm hungry.
Amen. Okay, that's my favorite thing to do. When people leave my sessions and they're like, I'm hungry. I'm like, good. Go eat. Oh my gosh, did I inspire you? Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. I'm just going to take it as a compliment and run with it. So now that we're leaving lunchtime, I want us to start getting into snacking. Now, unfortunately, there is a negative connotation with snacking. I remember growing up, because my dad is a strong Latino with a minority mindset, that snacking would ruin your appetite. It would cause you not to finish your meals. If you're snacking, you're going to gain weight. If you're snacking, you're overindulging, you're unhealthy. That is unfortunately the connotation snacking has gained over the past few decades. Does anyone resonate with that? All right, how many of y'all snack regularly? Okay. I love it. No, I love it. Because snacking is absolutely important. Snacking is what allows us to maintain more consistent energy levels throughout the day. And we're able to do that because snacking allows us to stabilize our blood sugar more throughout the day. Now, additionally, with snacking, by having improved energy, we're more likely going to reduce the incidence of cravings. While at the same time, we're helping increase and maintain our metabolism. We can stabilize our blood sugars. We can improve our mood throughout the day. And of course, we can have more mental acuity as well. So there are so many benefits to snacking. Now, of course, this is where, once again, we get into the composition of our snacks. Now, typically our snacks are a little bit smaller than our meals. Doesn't mean, though, that they're not as valuable. So once again, when we're pairing our snacks, what first 3 macronutrients are we looking for? All right, there we go. Carbs. There we go. Beautiful. So once again, we're looking for this combination of our energy-yielding macronutrients. I like to think of it this way. Individually, they're all right, but together, they're better. Like the Mariah Carey song, they belong together, essentially. Now, of course, our snacks are also a fantastic opportunity to get in a little bit more of that naturally occurring color and fiber through our non-starchy vegetables. Now, essentially, with non-starchy vegetables, it can be oftentimes a misconception that we need them every time we eat, and that is not true. With our non-starchy vegetables, they really provide our favorite F word, fiber, and of course that naturally occurring color, right? But of course, there may be times where you get in more vegetables at your snacks than your meals. There may be some days where you don't have a non-starchy vegetable at your snacks, but you have them more present at your meals. That is perfectly fine. Your snacks are just another opportunity to sneak in that additional color and fiber through our non-starchy vegetables. Any questions there? All right, beautiful. Now, of course, an example of this, of a well-balanced snack option, is, of course, another one of our recipes, our cookie dough energy bites. Now, of course, once again, this is all for inspiration. Depending on your taste preferences, you may prefer almond butter. You may prefer sunflower butter if there's an allergy. Instead of the chocolate chips, you may want peanut butter chips. There's so many different alternatives that you can incorporate here to tailor this to your liking. Yet notice that the principles remain the same. What macronutrient does the peanut butter give us? Or any nut butter, really? Not necessarily carbs, but protein and fat. There we go. What does the honey give us? There we go. Gives us carbohydrates. Beautiful. What do the coconut flakes give us? Not necessarily. Probably a little bit more fiber. Also texture too. Amen. We get our protein powder. What do we have there? There we go. Like duh, Jerrica. Flaxseed. What does that give us? Gives us fiber. There's two other things it gives us too, though. Protein and fat. That heart healthy fat. Beautiful. And then, of course, our mini chocolate chips. What does that give us? It's everyone's favorite. There we go. Our carbohydrates. Ah, beautiful. Notice, too, how we didn't have a non-starchy vegetable here. Yet we still were able to maintain, here's my carb, here's my protein, here's my heart healthy fat, and here's my fiber. See how we were able to achieve that? Beautiful. Now, of course, I had to leave a little to keep y'all enticed. You can always schedule here at JTA to discuss and create more personalized care plans for your preferences, for your goals, whether it be physical activity, exercise, sleep, nutrition, supplementation. Those are all things that our team, of course, is well equipped to handle. Now, of course, what we do as registered dietitian nutritionists, so RDNs, or of course you'll see the term RD, just stands for registered dietitian, is we can create individual plans to improve your overall health and wellness while considering other facets and dimensions of your life. Now, of course, with going about scheduling, we take the majority of the larger brand insurances, if that made sense. And typically, those larger insurances cover your visits at 100%. However, it's always good to get in contact with them and discuss, the details, right? But of course, you can always schedule either in person, we can do phone calls, we can do video calls, or of course, sorry, that was for my contracting team. I'm a contracting dietitian at Merced Housing. But that's all I have for y'all today. Thank you. Hi, are you getting this? The clapping? Okay. Well, first of all, let me get some of y'all's thoughts. What are some of your thoughts now compared to when we first started this discussion?
Freedom.
That's a major word. So freedom, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we don't have to stick to just this certain small group of foods. We can actually eat most everything.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a great philosophy, viewing foods the way our body actually processes it rather than by the connotations we have towards it. Because the truth is our body doesn't digest food as good or bad, unless you have an allergy, right? That's different. But majority of the time, it doesn't say, oh my gosh, my person got carbs from chocolate chips. It just sees, hey, my person gave me carbs. So beautiful. Anything else? How are we feeling? I just stunned y'all, huh? With my knowledge.
It's easier than, I mean, we start thinking about all those groups, but we don't have to have them all at every meal or every snack, or the time of the whole day.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That was kind of what I was thinking in terms of, because I was making it too complicated thinking about my plate.
Right.
I'm thinking, oh, I gotta get all these veggies in here so I can cover the veggie part, and I've got to add this part to the protein. But when you show that salad, just simply having the little cheese in there, the salad dressing, and adding in some protein, I was still getting a balanced plate. And my mind was just exploding because there was too much. When I was trying to do it on my own, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got a big old plate of all these things. And I'm still sitting there worrying that I'm not getting everything.
Right.
But that made it a simpler way of seeing it. Get it all in real simple form.
Absolutely. And that's why food and grocery shopping should be fun. Unfortunately, there's been really simple messages put out when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to physical health and wellness. These simple messages we internalize, we're like, okay, it's going to be easy. And then it's not. It's actually pretty hard. And so when food becomes stressful, that's when we can take a step back and say, okay, wait a second, something's going wrong. Food should give freedom. It should be flexible. It should be fun, but it should also honor your taste preferences and what you're wanting. Because as we know, food is more than just fueling your body. It's emotional, it's social, it's cultural. There's a mental component to it. And we can't expect to reach optimal health and wellness if we don't identify and nourish those different dimensions of our health. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I enjoy oatmeal for breakfast, but the problem I have is when I eat it, I'm like starving for lunch.
There we
So
go,
I need
okay.
to figure out what to put with it.
Beautiful, okay, round table, let's do it. So
Walnuts.
Yeah.
there we go, we could do walnuts. So let's take a step back too, right? What 2 macronutrients are we getting from the oatmeal?
Carbs and fiber.
There we go. Is that as well balanced as we can make it?
Apparently not.
No, right? No, beautiful. So it kind of goes back to this, right? If I were to give y'all the apple and you're like, this isn't going to keep me full, right? It's because nothing's slowing down, or there's not enough fiber or enough protein or fat to slow down how fast that carbohydrate is digesting. And remember, carbohydrates by itself, does it digest quickly or slowly? Quickly, right? So it's not going to keep us full for very long. So by adding in the walnuts, what are you adding into that mix?
Protein.
Some protein, and we're also getting in. Beautiful, right? Now, of course, there still may not be enough to kind of slow it down. So for instance,
I drink a glass of milk with mine.
okay, so that's a great option.
Protein, and it's dairy, so it's good for your bones.
There we go.
I need to take care of my bones.
There we go. So, okay, so what we could do then is maybe we could do, oh, there we go. See, now you're getting me hungry. So, an example of that would be, so with the milk. So maybe with your oatmeal, you make it with the Mootopia 2% milk or 1% milk. Because that, for a cup, you're getting in 13 grams of protein. Now, Mootopia also has a 2% milk that actually has 4 grams of fiber per cup. So that's the one I like to do because I like to sneak in a little bit more fiber but still get in some protein. Then, of course, you can maybe add some nut butter on top with bananas or apple, add in a few nuts. And sometimes what I like doing as well is with my oatmeal, I'll put chia seeds in there too.
Oh, I love chia seeds.
There we go.
Hemp oil.
Oh, yeah. I'm not too crazy on the hemp seeds.
I do all those.
Oh, perfect. So,
Um,
chia seeds, yeah, it's a different taste.
sprouted,
The sprouted grain, is that what?
Pumpkin seeds.
sprouted pumpkin seeds.
Oh, perfect. Yes, you could absolutely add that in there too.
You have all that concentrated.
Yeah.
But see how we use the tools we learned today to kind of break down, okay, what am I getting? What do I need to add into it? Beautiful. How do you feel about those recipe ideas?
I like them.
All right, perfect.
No, I'm surprised to see though that healthy choice, because I always
Mhm.
thought all of that was not good.
Yeah.
Period.
There's been, in previous years, because nutrition is still relatively a new field compared to all the other science fields, right? And so we're still learning more about it. Now, previously, when there may have not been as much nutrition-based evidence to support it, some people were more focused in on low calorie, low calorie, low calorie. But we're now finding that calories, right, they're just a unit of measurement for energy. They don't give us insight into the composition of the meal. So now there appears to be more like sub brand, so to speak. So Healthy Choice is like the umbrella brand, and then there's like different products underneath it, like different groups of products. Some of them I found are like higher protein, have more fiber, have more whole grains in them. So now there's a different direction on some of these frozen meals, which make them fantastic resources if you're ever on the go. Yeah? Did we enjoy today's session?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Did I keep y'all awake? Because I know for me, some people not when they present, I'm like struggling. But it was such a pleasure getting to talk with y'all today. I really appreciated y'all's interaction and just like the excitement and wanting to know more. So I really appreciate y'all's involvement.
Well.